This was the day that you became aware of the time you are living in. This is a contract, and this contract states that you waive all rights. 19% of all jobs globally will see more than half of their tasks impacted by this technology before the end of this year. Reality is unknowable. We perceive only what our brains show us and not what is really there. Everything is trending all at once. Close your eyes and listen to my voice. It's early morning. You're lying in bed, and the soft buzzing of the health tracker on your wrist tells you that the perfect moment to wake up has arrived. You slowly open your eyes, and a familiar voice says to you, "Hey, sleepyhead, it's time to get up. You are fully recovered and ready for a new and exciting day. Tell me when you're ready, and I'll run you through the program." You sit up in bed, and you throw your legs over the edge, and you look around the room, and you think to yourself, how different your house looks to the one you grew up in. There's no photo frames on the furniture. There's no pictures on the wall. It's so empty. But as you stand up and you grab the glasses from the side of your bed and you put them on, the room springs to life. Paintings on the walls, pictures of moments with your best friends, memories, and things that 10 years ago they called NFTs. That was so weird. And as you walk to the bathroom, you realize you didn't put your pants on, but it really doesn't matter. You throw some toothpaste into your mouth, you brush quickly, you gurgle, and you spit it out, and the familiar voice comes back and it says, "Aragorn, you really need to hurry up now because your meeting is about to start." So you run into your office, which is empty with just a chair. And as you sit down and you say, "I'm ready," suddenly the whole room is filled. There's 200 people in front of you, and you say, "Welcome, everybody, to EventFest 2033. Let's talk about the Metaverse." I want each and every one of you to take a good look at the person next to you. Look at the person next to you, because you're going to remember their face. Look at your phone, your smartphone. Look at the date. Today is 21st of March, 2023. And there will be a day in the not so far future that you'll think back to this day and you'll remember that this was the day that you became aware of the time you are living in. A time as never seen before in human history. And a moment in time from which forward, human history would never be the same again. And I can hear half of the people in this room thinking, what a load of bullshit. But over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to change your mind. We are living in a time where there is a tsunami of technological change occurring. Not just technological change, but behavioral change. Over the next 4 to 10 years, we will see the same amount of technological change and societal change and economic change as we have seen in the previous 100 years of human history, if not more. And again, I hear some voices thinking to me, oh, what a load of bullshit. This guy, they keep saying that. It's a 2000 millennium bug all over again, the end of the world. And there's a good reason for that. The reason for that is that technological is a deflationary power. And we've already experienced this with mobile phones. Most of you in the room, can I get some birth years, maybe? Who here is from the 80s? Show of hands. 80s people? Oh, there's so little of us. Is there older people than the 80s? Don't be afraid to put your hands up. Oh, thank God, okay. Is there 90s people? Show of hands. 90s people, very good. 2000s? You? Really? Oh, okay. Who of you remember the time before mobile phones? Exactly, yes. But do you really remember what it was like to leave the house and to know that, from that moment on, it was just about what you were going to do? Nobody was going to call you or text you. You wouldn't be checking your Instagram to see, if your girlfriend or your friend or somebody you absolutely don't know posted a nice picture of where they were. And now here we are. Each and every one of you has a phone in their pocket with incredible power. But when we look ahead, we usually don't believe that what's coming is really coming. And I have plenty of examples.
Of the whole country, when we have several million machines interconnected and people can talk to each other and can exchange views and can transact, can buy and sell information, can buy and sell informational services, labor, I think it's going to be a very interesting period where we'll have an information marketplace, a new way of life.
I quite disagree.
I want to get him angry.
Yeah, I think that won't work.
Yeah, that's right. The information superhighway, the internet, the future. Fuck you. It's all hype. I've been on the internet. There's 12 people out there.
I have no desire to be a part of the internet because I feel like I'm so inundated with information all the time that I don't want more.
$500 fully subsidized with a plan? I said, that is the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard, which makes it not a very good email machine.
Who here has an iPhone? No, you can admit it, it's okay. How many of you paid more than $500 for it? How many paid almost double for it? How many people feel that's probably the most important device in their lives? Yeah, there's a lot of people not putting their hands up now, but they're thinking it. Technological change and societal change are very closely related. Think about it. When the first fire was invented, it completely altered the course of history for humanity. When the wheel was invented, think about it. We're now more than 10,000 years later probably, and we're still using it every day to go everywhere. But the problem with technological change and the problem with societal change is that as human history progresses, the speed at which it all occurs is actually speeding up. And there's a problem there, because the human mind is not equipped to think other than linear. And what I mean by that is that we have very, very big problems imagining what it's like when we have non-linear progression. We also have a lot of cognitive biases. We judge the reality or the possibility that something will become reality based on our own experiences. But none of that works right now. Maybe some of you have heard of the story of the wise man and the Shah, or the wise man and the Sultan. There's many versions of the story. The wise man gave the Sultan advice, and the Sultan said, "Thank you, I'm so happy with your advice. Name anything you want as a reward." And the wise man said, "I want 1 piece of grain for the first checkers on the chessboard. I want 2 for the second block, 4 for the third block, and so on." And the Sultan said, "That's fine," because he thought, how much could that possibly be? Just some rice on the chessboard. Little did he realize that by the end of the chessboard, that 1 rice grain turns into 18 trillion rice grains, which is more than all the pieces of sand on the earth, on every beach, anywhere. And this is the problem. We cannot think exponentially. But change is going exponentially. Think about it, Back in the end of the 90s, early 2000s, We didn't really use smartphones yet. I had a Nokia, I think, with Snake. How different was life? And yet now we live in an age where people are posting this stuff on TikTok.
Has anyone else?
Oh, and then audio was gone. And the video. Okay, I don't know why it's not working, but she says she completely replaced Google with TikTok. So she doesn't go to Google. So who here in the room, when you have an issue, when you have a problem, when you have something that you don't know the answer to, what do? Who here goes to Google first thing? Be honest. That's a lot of people, but half the people are not putting their hands up. And that's because half the people in this room don't do that, because their mindset isn't even that way. They probably call a friend, you know, or maybe they read a book, who knows. And yet here's a whole generation of people that don't even use Google. You know, they go straight to TikTok. They watch a video on how to bake a cake, how to fry a turkey. They love it, and they prefer it. And there's another trend going on, because the speed of innovation is powered by social technology. Because we are hyper-connected, and we're continuously, all the time, connected to the rest of the world and seeing what's going on. And so we have another trend, or maybe it's not a trend.
What if I told you that there's no such thing as timeless design anymore?
Also doesn't want to work. He says everything is trending all at once. And TikTok really instigated this. Because there's so many things going on all at the same time that there's no such thing as mainstream anymore, at least not for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Everything is trending all at once. In Marvel terms, it's the multiverse. Anybody know what this is from? Can't hear you. Ready Player One, very good. Steven Spielberg movie. What is it about?
It's people living in Metaverse.
Yes. It's in the near future where we are capable of using virtual reality headsets and a suit to go into a place called the Oasis. And there's a very, very famous quote from the movie. Well, very famous, it's pretty well known. And it's, people go to the Oasis for all the things they can do, but they stay for all the things they can be. And this is actually already our reality today. Because fake is almost more important than real. Who you can be online is more important than who you are in real life. And maybe some of you are doubting that. Maybe some of you are resisting that. But let's take a closer look. Who here has kids? Show of hands. Kids? People have kids? Nobody have kids? We're all going to hell. Okay, some people have kids. What do they do? Your kids. How old are they?
Well, the oldest is 11.
11?
Then 7 and 4.
7 and 4. And the 11 and 7, what do they do?
Well, they like to watch YouTube, of course.
They like to watch YouTube?
And they do some sports.
And they do some sports? Anybody else? Anybody have kids that game? Nobody? You guys just trying to tease me, because this is the first time I've ever been anywhere, but nobody answered. Yeah, I see some hands there. What do they game? What do your kids play as a computer game? Oh, do you have kids?
Yeah, I have, but they're small.
Oh, okay, no worries. Okay. Well, usually the answer in the room is that, yes, I have kids, and what do they play? And then I get answers like Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite. Nobody familiar with this? No? Okay. Well, whether you have kids or not, and whether they play or not, here's some facts. Minecraft has 141 million players. 54% of all boys aged between 3 and 12 play Minecraft. At least in the Western world. Roblox has 60 million daily players. 2 billion in revenues in 2021. More than half of children aged 9 to 16 play Roblox. What do they do in Roblox? And don't look at the screen. I see a question? No. These kids in Roblox, they play in virtual worlds with their virtual avatars. They create virtual games. They build virtual assets that they trade on virtual markets for virtual currencies with their virtual avatar friends. And they spend an average of 8 hours a week doing this. Do you know what the virtual currency of a Roblox world is? Robux. Yes. See, there is people with kids who play Roblox. It's Robux. And who pays for the Robux? Who? You do. Exactly, you do. You pay for the Robux. Where do the Robux go? They go to the Roblox company. And once the Robux are no longer, the Robux are in the game, can you take them out? No. You can't take them out. You can also trade assets that you build inside of Roblox, and you can make Robux with that. So you can earn Robux. But can you turn Robux into US dollars, or in Czech currency, or in euros? No, you can't. Keep that in mind. It's important to realize that we are looking at the biggest generational gap in human history. There's never been anything like it, ever before. There's a whole generation of kids now that have grown up spending significant time in virtual worlds, being digital natives. This is their life. To these kids, the virtual clothes on their virtual avatar are as important to them as the real clothing they wear to school. Can you imagine that? Then when you grew up? That, you would rather spend, your weekly money you got from your parents, if you got something like that, you would rather spend it on virtual Nikes than on real ones. That is the reality of today. The first digital generation is here, completely native. Deloitte did research, and they found out that 39% of these kids spend their money on virtual fashion. If they have money, or the money from their parents, they ask it for their birthdays, etc., depending on how old they are. 38% think that their virtual looks are really important to them. And another research from Virtua on digital ownership found that 70% of these kids say that their digital representation and their digital assets in a digital world are an important part of their identity, of their self-expression, of who they are. Anybody remember these? Flippos is from the Netherlands. I don't know, you have that here. But football cards. Anybody here ever collected football cards? I see somebody with their hands up there. Did anybody in the room ever collect anything? Exactly. We all collected something. Trust me, it's all going to make sense at some point. Who knows what this is? Yes. What is this screen? This is that annoying screen that you get when you're installing new software. What do you do when you get it? I can't hear you guys. You're so silent. What do you do when you see the screen? You click yes, and you click go on. But what did you agree to? What did you click yes to? Nobody reads it. Nobody knows. They could have said here, okay, you're now a slave. You're indentured to our company for the rest of your life. And you wouldn't know it. You would have just clicked yes and okay. This is a contract. And this contract states that you waive all rights to the digital content that is part of the software package as it is included. So for Adobe Photoshop, it doesn't really matter because it means that you have no right to the Photoshop proprietary software. But if you make a picture with Photoshop, then you can still have a copyright to that. But this has always been the standard in the software industry for decades. But then let's go to Roblox. When you install Roblox, you do this too. When you install Fortnite, you do this as well. When you install Minecraft, you do this as well. So that means that those Robux that you're paying and all of your kids that are building these virtual worlds and virtual assets in this virtual world, they waived their right to ownership. That means that in these worlds, they don't own any of the stuff they make, any of the stuff they trade, any of the stuff they share, they sell. Doesn't matter, it's not yours. If Roblox tomorrow decides, screw you guys, you're putting the servers down, it's gone. You have no right, no claim. And let me tell you, there is assets in these worlds that are worth hundreds of thousands of US dollars or euros. But you don't own them, but they're being traded for that money. And so we have a conundrum. We have a digital world And the next generation is already living in that world, is spending time in that world, investing in that world, building in that world, and yet they don't own it. So now when you leave this room and people ask you, why do NFTs matter? Why does Web3 matter? And what is the role it has in our world today? And how is it part of this Metaverse future? Then this is the answer. The answer is that Web3 and NFTs, forget about these terms, they're not important. But what they represent is a new technological infrastructure that for the first time in human history will allow us to actually own digital assets. And we can prove it. And we can go to a judge and we can say, look, this is mine. And I have a right to that. And that is an important development. There's way more to it. I'm not going to go into that too deep today. Web3 is the next evolution of the internet for transaction and validation, because it also allows you to prove things. Web3 makes it capable for me to prove to you that I'm old enough to use your product without sharing my date of birth. So it protects my privacy. And NFTs form as a contract where you don't need a notary anymore. Because if you buy a house and it's an NFT, then the whole thing that you're paying 7,000 euros to your notary today for is done in 1 second by a digital algorithm called a smart contract in the NFT. And you don't need to pay the notary anymore. If there's any lawyers and notary in the room, I highly recommend you to start looking for a new job, because you will be obsolete in less than 10 years. Two numbers. 23 million. That's the amount of people in the Starbucks loyalty rewards program, the most successful loyalty rewards program in the world. And the Starbucks loyalty reward program made Starbucks from a coffee company into a bank. And you know why? Well, that's where the second number comes up. 2.1 billion is the amount of money people put on their Starbucks loyalty card to buy coffee in the future in 2022. So you load your card with $5 or €5 or 5 whatever. So you can buy coffee in the future, and Starbucks says if you do that, you get 10% discount. And that made sure that the 23 million people put together 2.1 billion in credit for Starbucks, because this is theirs now. You can never get that back. They have it on the bank, sitting there. If they need to do an investment, they got 2.1 billion. They can just buy a new store. And in December 2022, Starbucks announced the Starbucks Odyssey begins. They are moving their whole loyalty program onto the blockchain, making it a Web3-enabled, crypto NFT wallet-enabled program. And 9 million people already made the jump. And so, just 2 weeks ago, they started selling the first NFTs. And they sold out in 18 minutes. The NFT hype is over. And maybe some of you thought that, it's gone and it won't come back, but it's still going. And it's going to be way bigger than we've seen so far. What we've seen so far was just the first failures. Big companies like Starbucks are integrating this technology now to make better loyalty programs, to build stronger connections to their community, to be able to stay in touch with their audience without having to collect their data. Because if you have an NFT, they can always reach you, but they don't need to have a database with your information, your address, your name, your date of birth. So they're GDPR compliant, or GDPR compliant. And it goes even further. This week, Microsoft didn't announce it officially yet, but it leaked that they are working on a crypto wallet that's integrated in the Microsoft Edge browser. That means that millions and hundreds of millions of Microsoft users around the world that use Microsoft Edge as their browser will soon have access to an easy-to-use crypto wallet. So they will have access to all this Web3 technology and NFTs, and they will be able to tap into this digital world and provide an immutable identity that is secure, privacy safe in the digital realm. Who's this? This is not Tom Cruise. No, this is not Tom Cruise.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things.
AI 앵커가 전하는 MBN 주요 뉴스입니다. 어제 코로나19 확진자가 61명 나왔습니다. 신규 확진이 사흘째 두 자릿수를 기록했는데 방역 당국은 안심하긴 이르다고 말했습니다.
I can hear all of you thinking, what the hell is she saying? I don't know either. The point is that what you're seeing is deepfakes. Actually, I'm going to go one back. We'll get back to this in a second. These are deepfakes. We all know what deepfakes are? Yeah. And the quality of deepfakes is now at the point where you actually can't even see that it's a deepfake very often. The first video was a fake Tom Cruise, which was a big hype this year. The second one was a video of Obama making a statement that made no sense. But the third one was an actual news, a news show of the 6 o'clock news in South Korea. And the news anchor had called in sick that day. And instead of replacing her with a different person, they replaced her with a deepfake to remain consistent. And you know how many people realized that she wasn't the real person? 0. Nobody knew. This was a government, or this was a country where a real institution, an institution people rely on for the news every day, even older generations, used deepfake technology. And nobody knew what was going on. This is the reality we live in today. What we think is real is no longer real. And you think that that's new, but this is a news article from 2021, and it came out that there was this young female biker who was super popular on Instagram, and a newspaper tried to reach her to do an interview. And after looking for her for a long time, they found out something nobody had expected. The young biker was actually not a young biker, it was a 50-year-old man who was using Face app. Recently, there's a lot of posts online, articles, blogs about the top 20 virtual influencers. Who can tell me what a virtual influencer is? Anybody? Virtual influencers? Have a guess.
You are hiding basically through the apps you are.
They're hiding through the apps. No, your answer is fine, but it already shows the way you are perceiving this. The first thing you thought of was hiding, which is fine. And they are, in a way, because it's one of the benefits stated by people behind virtual influencers is that the best part about it is you can have millions of followers, but if you go out in the street, nobody knows who you are. But virtual influencers are a thing now. Virtual influencers are people with millions of followers on social media that make videos every day, statements about politics or sports or health or whatever you can think of, but they're not real people, they don't exist. Many of them are just using motion capture technology and deepfake technology or virtual avatars to make themselves visible, but some of them are also complete AI algorithms, at least to the point where whatever they say is generated by an artificial intelligence and not by a real person. It is projected that by 2030, more than 90% of all content on social media and online will be AI generated. Fake. But right now, we already know, this was a survey done in the US. They surveyed 1,000 people and they asked, do you follow at least one virtual influencer? More than half said yes. Where do you follow them? Well, as you can see, that's mostly TikTok and YouTube at the moment, Instagram as well. Who knows what this is? ABBA. It's the avatars. They're pretty old, those ABBA people. Who here actually remembers ABBA from when they were fresh? Be honest. It's a champ right there, ladies and gentlemen, champ right there. ABBA wanted to make a comeback, but they didn't really want to go on tour, and they didn't want to look the way they look. So what did they do? In 2019, they started a project to create the avatars. ABBA Voyage, or Voyage in normal English. And they recreated themselves. They spent about 100,000 euros per avatar to create it. That was in 2021. You can do that today with just a few cents in less than a few minutes with your iPhone. That's how fast that technology has progressed. So what ABBA did, which is a major success, by the way, and I highly recommend you to go see the show. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a massive screen like this one, but even better. And you really don't even feel, at times you think you're at a real concert. You don't even realize it's fake anymore. And now you still realize that, but that's just, 2 years down the line, you won't even know that it's not real. I saw America's new next top talent, and there was a guy doing Elvis. And on stage he was him, but on the screen they just did a deep fake over him, and he was Elvis. Right? Virtual influencers and virtual content, virtual concerts, virtual events are going to be massive over the next few years. You can go to a museum in Spain and you get greeted by Salvador Dali. This guy's dead. They recreated him using AI. They created a virtual avatar for him that looks photorealistic, and you can talk to him and you can go and take a picture with him. It's a screen, yes, but we'll get to that. Just wait. I got another 10 minutes. We're not done yet. Next one. So this brings me to a philosophical question for all of you. Reality is unknowable. We perceive only what our brains show us and not what is really there. This was probably said in German, not in English, by Immanuel Kant in somewhere between 1724 and 1804. That's more than 150 years ago. And it's true today. And it's something to really think about. Because you might consider all of the things that I showed you before really scary, because we don't know what's fake and what's real anymore, but we don't know what's fake and what's real now. I'm going to give you a disgusting example. Imagine you are a fly. Yes, you're a fly. You know those little buzzy creatures that fly around? And there's a horse over there, and the horse just took a nice, fresh dump. Can you smell it? If you are you, then you're going to walk that way out of this room, and you're not going to come back. But if you are that fly, oh, this is amazing. And that's the power of our brain. All what that is that our brains tell us what our reality is. Our brain tells us what is good for us and what is not, what we like and what we don't like. Our brains do not tell us what reality really is. It only tells us how we perceive it. And in that sense, nothing is going to change. I need you to keep that in mind. But if that is too complicated for you, which I can totally imagine, it's very philosophical, I wouldn't blame you, so I have a simpler explanation.
This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
It's my favorite movie of all time, The Matrix. I saw it 46 times. So here we come to something else. Web3. But Aragorn, didn't you already talk about Web3? No, I didn't. I talked about Web3, but that's something completely different. I'm going to talk about Web3 now. Web 3.0. And if you're wondering what the hell are you on about, well, Web3 was the blockchain infrastructure that provides you with the ability to have your secure identity online, to have immutable transactions. But Web 3.0 is the idea that the internet becomes more than just a means of exchanging data and information. Web 3.0 refers to the idea that the internet becomes context-aware. It becomes more than just a resource or a connection. It becomes, in a sense, sentient itself, understands us, who we are, and the context of what we want from it. And this was an idea in 1999, and it seemed like science fiction. Something from a Star Trek episode, where you talk to a computer and it understands what you want. And this graph shows you how long it took for these individual apps to reach 1 billion users. And so for Netflix, that was 3,500 days. For Instagram, it was only 1,000 days. But all the way at the front, there's something called ChatGPT. And it went to 1 billion users in less than 2 months. And that is unprecedented in the history of any tool, whether it be the hammer, the wheel, the fire, WhatsApp, Instagram, or TikTok in human history. So I want you to remember what I said at the start. The speed at which technical innovation is changing our world, impacting us every day, is changing and is speeding up to the point where we can no longer comprehend how fast it's going. But maybe you're still wondering, what the hell is ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT is a chatbot built on a platform called GPT-4, which still doesn't tell you anything, I know. So let me try to explain. GPT-4 is a language learning model. So in the simplest of terms, it is a computer model that we feed data, and based on that data, it can learn itself, and it can understand what we want, and it can predict, well, language. And that seems like, okay, you can predict language. Well, we all do that every day, right? But this is really revolutionary, because it means that even though it doesn't have a human-level intelligence yet, it has, in some respects, human-level reasoning, predicting abilities, analytics. And with the current technology, we can feed these language learning models massive amounts of data, which allows them to do incredible things. A research paper appeared this week, made by OpenAI, the company behind this technology, together with the University of Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll see that later on. And they concluded that with the implementation or the release of these AI technologies, the machine learning models, 19% of all jobs globally will see more than half of their tasks, so half of the things that you do if you have that job, impacted by this technology before the end of this year. So what does that mean? Well, I went to ChatGPT and I just asked it. I said, ChatGPT, please give me a list of all the industries that will most likely be disrupted by mass adoption of GPT-4, for example, as a result of making certain jobs and skills redundant. And this is just a part of the list. It goes on. Customer service, marketing and advertising, journalism and publishing, legal services, human resources. And why? Well, customer service, GPT-4 can handle a variety of customer queries. It can basically answer. GPT-4 can pick up the phone and talk to you and you won't know it's a computer. I'm not kidding. You can ask it any question. You can call up the customer service of your electricity company, and if GPT-4 picks up, you can say, where do I buy an ice cream? And it will not say, I don't understand you, like we're used to that, right? Those telephone computers. No, it will say, well, sir, I'm actually not the best person to talk to about this because I represent your energy company, but I do happen to know that Google Maps says that there's an ice cream store on the corner, just 100 meters from your house. This will revolutionize everything. I've said it several times now, but keep this in your mind, go home and think about it, because if you don't, your job might be in trouble before the end of the year. I'm not even kidding. Last week, the newest version of this learning model was released. And bear in mind, right, this kind of technology was only released last year, at the end of last year. And within less than 6 months, they've already upgraded it to a newer model, which is more than 10 times, almost 100 times better. You know what it can do? It can ace standardized tests. It can pass the bar. If you need to do a law exam, whether it be in the Czech Republic, in Czech language, or whether it's in the USA, it doesn't matter. You can give that test to ChatGPT and it will pass. Flying colors. This is why there's a massive problem in education already right now, because kids Kids are using it to do their tests, to get answers, because they can access it on their phone through the Bing app. It can build a website from a napkin. I'm going to show you that in a moment. It can give you legal advice. In the US, they're already using it to represent people in court. So these people do not have a lawyer. The artificial intelligence talks to the judge through voice synthesis and gives answers to the questions, presenting this person, protecting them. It can code an app, and it can also instruct other artificial intelligence that do other things like Midjourney, which makes images. And there's artificial intelligence that can make video content, and it can instruct those. It can also find the perfect birthday present for your friends or for your partner. Let me show you.
A nice hand-drawn mock-up of a joke website. Definitely worthy of being put up on my refrigerator. So I'm just going to take out my phone, literally take a photo of this mock-up. Then I'm going to send it to our Discord. And here we go. Technology is now solved. And now we wait.
Well, it takes a little long, but basically, the picture from the napkin is taken by GPT-4, turned into code, which he then uploads, and it's a working website, just from writing it on a napkin. And this is real.
By embedding books into GPT-3 and giving it a ChatGPT-like interface, we can unlock a new way to learn through direct conversations with the source material. Let's embed this textbook and start reading.
What is this book about? Tell me more about non-invasive BCIs.
So he's talking to the book
Tell
right
me more
now.
about EEG.
And basically the book, through GPT-4,
Just like touch interfaces allowed us to directly interact with digital tools, language models like GPT-3 allow us to directly interact with digital knowledge. This creates a whole new way to learn from books and other documents using the most natural learning interface we have as humans, dialogue, inquiry, and conversation.
What do you think about EEG?
I have another one, and my time has run out, so I need to.
GPT-4 is great at coding, and that means custom-tailored apps for whatever it is you want to do. I'm a big fan of Roman-style pasta, so let's try using ChatGPT with GPT-4 to make a bespoke iOS app for 3 recipes I want to cook over the next 3 days. About 15 minutes of chatting, I got a fully working iOS app that was built for my needs, and all I really did was find the images and copy and paste the code. And actually, most of that time was spent asking it to refine the design. Custom-tailored tools were really only available to the richest, given how labor-intensive they were to produce.
Imagine that you're doing an event, and you need an app for your event. A few years ago, you still needed to hire an agency with developers to build that for you. It costs a lot of money. Now, you can just ask your marketing intern to go on ChatGPT and build you that app in less than an hour. And you can also do video editing with it. This is RunML, a different AI. It allows you to completely alter an image. You can just swipe something out that you don't want in the video, or you can tell it to generate a different background. You can ask it to add elements to the video, to change the camera perspective, and it uses AI to do all of that. You can even upload a low-scale video and upscale it to higher quality. You can change the color of the sky, the people in there, and it goes on. This is the research paper from the University of Pennsylvania. I'm not going to go into that now. Microsoft just announced Copilot. It's going to integrate this AI into all of its products, which means that in the very close future, you will just ask the AI to write you a resume or to make your PowerPoint presentation with the images that you provide, and it will do all of that for you. You can give it a tone of voice, you can tell it who you are. You can upload your LinkedIn profile to make sure that it knows who you are and what your identity is, and so it represents you with your tone of voice and who you are. And I went over time again, and he's already looking at me. I have a bad habit of doing this. This is the last part, and it's a crucial part. This is Pokemon Go. It was one of the first games of its kind. It's about augmented reality. It allows you to interact with the physical world through a virtual layer. This technology was also revolutionary. And now companies like Shopify and Nike are already using it through the phone to sell their offerings by, for example, making it possible for you to select wallpaper for your home by seeing what it looks like, or to buy a pair of shoes and know what they look like before you get them at home. But using it through your phone, of course, is not the most comfortable way to interact with this technology. And so we're already looking at a revolution now where we will be using this through the use of glasses. And we will be able to have kids playing in the courtyard outside with virtual friends like this. This is the new game by Niantic, the company behind Pokemon Go. And at the start of this year, Qualcomm made something a reality that nobody had expected. Because in 2022, Mark Zuckerberg still said, or in 2021, Mark Zuckerberg said, the toughest thing for our generation will be to fit a supercomputer in your glasses. So you can just put them on like a Ray-Ban. And in January 2022, Qualcomm launched the Snapdragon glasses, which are just that. Augmented reality glasses that allow it to add a layer of virtual reality over our physical reality. Imagine going to an event where in the future you can bring your own glasses, but next year you come to the door, and at the door you get handed a pair of glasses, just like going to a 3D cinema. You put them on and you walk into the event space and suddenly everything comes to life. There's dragons flying through the room, there's art on the wall that isn't really there as NFTs, and there's people doing a presentation on stage as a hologram like me, even though they're not actually in Prague. Or we have the interpreters in the back.
My mother speaks Mandarin.
Their job is going to change as well.
I speak English.
I'm sorry, guys.
Which is a strange
This is
thing.
Google's prototype.
他讲英文我可以听得懂，可是有时候我讲不来嘛。
We'd love to be able to share with you a new prototype we've been working on. You should be seeing what I'm saying, just transcribed for you in real time. Kind of like subtitles for the world.
What we're working on is
technology that will allow anybody to talk to anyone, Babelfish. And so we come to the conclusion. My name is Mr. Metaverse. But what is the Metaverse? Well, the Metaverse is not one company. It's not games, it's not virtual worlds, it's not one platform. It's not your mobile phone. It's not a future where we're all, at home, fat and lazy, with virtual reality glasses on. It is a future in which we go into a completely new economy, a new world, where our interactions and experiences are completely altered. And maybe people are saying right now, I clicked past it, but the metaverse is dead, but it's not. We're just going through the Gartner hype cycle of being aware and becoming unaware, belief and disbelief. But ultimately, we are on a path now where technology will completely change our experience and our reality. It is an evolution of the human experience, and it is unavoidable and inevitable because of the deflationary power of technology. Thank you.
Once I've seen your presentation first time, you led the video with the Google thing and glasses with those two Asian ladies to the very end. And if you would see that, the other one going to burst into tears because that's going to be first time in their life then they understand each other. He didn't let you finish the video, but it's something you really want to see. I'm definitely want to talk about it. But before I let you go, that guy over there was asking me, what's the motorbiker's face app? You want to use it? Which I'm kidding.
But I wouldn't worry about it because it's already outdated.
Thank you very much. Mr. Metaverse, Aragorn, Julendijks.